Welcome, everybody. This is Boris Schlossberg. Welcome to the Trading Battle, the only show on the internet where we take some of the best traders in the world and pit them together and show you some of the greatest market insights. Everybody who's watching me, please make sure to subscribe to the Trading Battle channel so you can get all this amazing free content coming at you, learn how to trade really well, and just generally get a great idea of where the markets are at. Today, I got a very, very special show, Trading Battle number 43. I have Petar Jacimovic and Nicola Delic trading against each other. And I want to welcome both of the guys. Petar, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Glad to be here.
Great. And Nicola.
Hi, guys.
Good.
Hi,
Good
Boris.
to see you.
It's
Hi,
great
guys.
to be with you.
Great to be. Both of you guys are, well, Petar is coming from Europe. Where are you coming from? Also Europe, right?
I'm also coming from the same country as my friend Petar.
So you guys are actually from both countries. Wonderful. Okay. You're coming to us from Eastern Europe. Great to see you guys. We're starting today's trading battle at what's known as the rollover time in the Forex land, when basically all markets go super, super quiet. This is literally US markets have closed. Asia markets haven't quite woken up yet. And Europe is about to go to bed. So you guys have been very kind to hang out with us. So we're not looking for lightning fast action today, but what we are going to do is talk about perhaps some of the more interesting longer term trades in markets and some of the things that you guys have been doing, some of the instruments you've been trading. Before we even discuss anything that's happening, I'd like to know a little bit more about both of you. So we'll start with Nicola. Could you give us a little bit of a background of how you got involved in trading? What sparked your interest, and what do you do now?
Yeah, sure. Like, I started to trade when I was really young, like 18 years old. I just finished high school, didn't know what to do. I really didn't want to go to college, and I was good in math. So I was thinking, what should I do? And then I watched a few movies about the Wall Street, and then I said, this is something
What was the movie that tipped you over the edge where you said, I want to do that?
It was the Wall Street a second, Money Never Sleep.
Really?
Yeah.
Not the first. Oh, that's good.
I watched the second as my first movie, then I watched the original.
And then you watched the original. Yeah, it's funny.
But it wasn't that easy, Boris. Like, I must admit, especially in our country back then, it was like 12, 13 years ago when Forex was really young. We didn't have much brokers to choose. And I believe that when we started to trade, the minimum for opening the account was like 10K. It's not like today. So it was much, much tougher for me to start. But I had the luck to start working with the broker house. I made a deal with them that I will code for them and they will teach me. So we done that part for a while. And then I figured out I'm good in that. And the part where I fell in love was mostly the Elliott wave. It was something that really changed me as a trader. It was the first time I understood how market really works. And after that, it was easy. Like, I traded for...
This should be an interesting show because I'm a big Elliott wave skeptic. So you're going to have to convince me as to why the Elliott wave works. But, this will be fun.
No worries.
But wow, so you basically bartered your way into the business by offering coding. Now, you obviously know how to code. Do you use any algorithmic programs to trade now, or are you primarily a systematic trader, or do you trade discretionary?
That really depends. Like, we all know that in the future, EA will be something that we all must adopt. I was a coder, but at the end of the day, I'm still a little bit of a skeptic when it comes to EA trading, because till today, I always believe that EA can find a trade faster than me, execute it faster than me, but I still don't have 100% trust in them. That's why I want something in between, a semi-automated approach to trading. That's why I love Elliott wave.
Okay. Do you use anything semi-automatic? Do you use any tools in your, like any algorithmic tools in your trading at all, or is everything?
Yeah, over the years, I spent working a lot of time in a bank's hedge fund, so I picked up a lot of tools here and there, and I also build because I have a lot of good friends that are coders. We built a decent library of the EA's indicators and tools. So we have a lot of stuff.
Okay, it's great. Do you trade like most on a retail platform? Or do you trade on like MetaTrader, or do you trade on
Usually, most of my trading go over the interactive broker. For
Interactive
my
Broker?
retail trading, for
Okay.
everything else, is over some sort of a fund.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Now, Petar, what about you? How did you come into trading? And tell us a little bit about yourself, just generally.
We started actually similar. I also started when I was 18 years old. I applied
Did you
for
watch
actually
Wall
different
Street too
jobs.
also, or did you just like trading?
No, basically, I applied for a totally different job, and it was actually a job to be a trader. Actually, to open account and see. It was like some kind of advertising from a broker house, and I didn't know that I called actually that number. So it was I called by accident.
That's
And
funny.
then I was like, okay, let me see what is this about, and that's when I saw first time Forex. I opened a chart MT4 platform. Yeah, that was active as well back then. And then I started with the Forex Factory. I think that forum was just basic. It was very young back
The
then.
forum, the Forex Factory forum. Yes, yes.
Yeah, and I discussed with other traders and so, and that is, I immediately really, I knew that I will do this and I will do for the rest of my life, in terms of, I really have a passion for this since the day one,
Interesting.
and that never changed.
Interesting. Now, why did you find it so fascinating? Are you mathematically inclined? Do you like to solve puzzles? Like, are you visually, are you visually oriented? What do you find about the markets that's so engaging?
Yeah, that is interesting question because I'm not that so much in mathematics at all, and I didn't like
Mhm.
that in the school, to be honest, or even economy. It wasn't my primary focus. But actually, what I liked is, as you said, solving puzzles. It was like always like a challenge, and every day is different. And on top of that, you have a money involved, which you have also some adrenaline in that sense. So you have all combination of solving the puzzles every day. Technically, you have a real money involved, and on top of that is the largest business in the world.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, I have a perfect
Perfect
combination.
combination of factors to keep you involved every day. That's true. It's true. Nicola, when you started out, how long did it take you to get comfortable in the markets?
Ooh, it's a great question. I was thinking I was comfortable after 6 months, but at the end of the day, after a year, I almost blew up my account, and then I needed one more year to recover. So let's say 2 years to be comfortable to live from trading.
So what was the trade that nearly blew up your account? What happened there?
Oh,
Do you remember?
I think it's gold. I can't remember when.
Yeah.
Can't remember, like it was a long time ago. It was gold. I oversized and then I panicked, and then I figured out, okay, I fucked up. It was some sort of I think it was NFP or something like that, and back then I didn't know what NFP really mean.
Right.
And you remember like 10
Yeah, I remember
like
those
12.
days. NFTs were
Yeah, like
massive.
every news was moving the market really great, not like today, like you have the NFP market is not moving.
Right.
Everything is dead.
Right. 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 So
But
you
it took me a
you
while.
oversized, and then when you realized you oversized and you were big, did you just cover
I
your big
didn't see it first. That was the mistake, that I didn't see that I really oversized until the news happened, because I was focusing on like seeing the news, if news is good or bad, and I didn't
Right.
know back then like how to read the news. But I was
Yeah.
watching if it is it green
Right.
or red.
Right. Hey, Petar, have you ever had a situation where you like um you hit a trade and you didn't realize that you did, let's say, 10 times the normal size, and you're like, hey, how come my P&L is going up like by 10 times the normal amount? And then by the time you figure it out, you're like down, 5 or 10. You ever have that happen to you?
Yeah, it happened to me as well on both sides, on negative and on positive.
Yeah,
I
like positive
did
it's
my
nice, but the
mistake.
negative really hurts.
Yeah, negative actually, that was my first year. Yeah, and I destroyed my account. I remember it was
Yeah.
like
And
yesterday.
that was just a mistake, right? It was like it was basically what we call a fat finger mistake. It wasn't, you didn't mean to do that big a size. It just,
Yeah, I didn't mean basically, but I saw the margin call like few hours later. That was my
Right.
first year, like 13
Right.
years ago.
Right.
But I also did for the positive side a few years ago. It was I put 1 0 more on the lot size actually, and then, I realized that something is happening. I see different numbers. It shouldn't be like that. So I immediately, decreased that and I scaled basically to the proper size, but I took the
You
profit.
scale that good. Well, you were up. Oh, this is nuts. So this is interesting. So, most traders, when they have like a huge win off of a size 10 times larger than they mean, the instinctual thing is just to close everything out because you're like, oh, I made all this money, close this out. It's interesting that you had the presence of mind to realize, oh, so I made this a lucky profit, but I'm actually on the right side of the trade, and this trade is working, so I should maintain the trade and keep it going. That's a very mature, trading approach. I think it's only after you've been in the markets for a while do you have the kind of discipline to, in the middle of a surprising event, to still maintain your position.
Yeah, and that's very important because being
like,
cold.
I'm 10 times up, I'm going to blow it all out. Which is, I've done that a few times. I don't have that kind of presence of mind, but that's very very interesting. What about you, Nicola? Any like upside surprises that ever happened to you like that?
Yeah, it was that Swiss franc crash.
Oh, you were short?
Yeah, I was short. I back then had a small signal service, and I said, people, guys, I'm shorting. It was a bearish setup. I didn't expect that big move, but we were bearish. And then I step out to walk my dog. I returned. Everyone is calling me. I lost everything. And I'm looking at my account. Fuck, I'm not sure what to do. Broker don't want to close the trade. And I end up like making, I believe, like 15K from that trade.
Yeah. It's funny because so that was actually also one of my greatest. It was literally my greatest lucky call. A week before that, I was on CNBC, and I was like, I really think the Swiss bank is going to have to move off the peg. I don't know when, but I think it's very very dangerous to stay long Euro Swiss. I think this is because at that time we're still following FX, and I was like, I think this is a very dangerous position to be in. I think people should be really wary of being long Euro Swiss. I think it could collapse. And that was like 1 week before the collapse. And of course, the day of the collapse, they called me in, and I was short the position. And same as you, nobody was willing to close it. Like I think it was trading. It went like 120. It went to 95 bid. Nobody would cover you at 95. Eventually, they covered me at 105. End of the day. Like it was like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I went to the studio, came back. It was still not covering. End of the day, they finally had to relent, cover you at 105. But it was like, I was trading 90, 95 at that point. That was a crazy trade. I remember that trade. That was a lot of fun.
Exactly.
Speaking of which, we're going to go to our first challenge here today. And the first challenge is kind of interesting. It's a handoff challenge. The first challenge is your opponent is going to pick the instrument, and you are going to pick the direction. And then we're going to take a look at the charts, and you guys are going to tell me the reason for why you're going to do the particular trade. So let's start with Petar. You pick an instrument for Nicola to trade.
Nicola, do you have any special wishes?
No, good.
No. Your job is to surprise them. Don't pick anything obscure like like Avalanche or BNB coin. Like let's pick something that people are that's in the news. Oil, gold, equities, FX, any of the pairs.
Something standard, right? Let's pick.
Yeah. Let's not get crazy. Let's not pick
Yeah,
XRP.
let's
You can tell I've
let's
been doing a lot
go
of crypto lately, right? Okay.
Euro GBP. That's the one
Oh my
I don't
God!
trade.
You went from like to the most boring pair in the world. Okay.
Okay, I can
Maybe
change. I can
not,
change.
Boris. Maybe not. Tomorrow we have the retail sales
Yeah,
coming from the UK, and that can be interesting just because like it's the
yeah.
Yeah.
first retail sales that we have after everything happens. So maybe we see
Okay.
some action.
All right. Well, why don't you pull up the chart of euro pound? Let's
Let
see what you
me.
want to do with it. Which direction would you go with on euro pound? And also tell us your sort of standard time frame, and then maybe you can run me a little bit through Elliott wave analysis, and I'll become a believer. If yeah.
I like. You can pick the time frame. It's all same to me.
I hate to tell you what no, well, what is it's your call.
I
So
usually
he
trade
called
the 15 minutes, pick up the
fine,
trend from
fine,
1 hour, and trade the
okay,
15 minutes.
sure. Let's do that. Let's sort of look. We'll look into tomorrow. How's the 15-minute chart look? It looks pretty rangy right now. Well,
Yeah.
how would you? Yeah, so it's a
It's really
15-minute
like
chart.
everything is stuck, like it's a range to me, but
Yeah.
it's slightly bullish, at least that short term.
So why is it slightly bullish? You're looking at this. What tells you this is a modestly
I'm
bullish
looking
setup?
at this, and when I look at this chart, what I can see, wait, not sure. If I get this, I look immediately the tree line. This look like a correction. I know that overall trend is bearish. That's all great, but this pair
Right.
is too boring at the end of the day in the short term because we have that retail sales tomorrow. We can see some movements. Like price action here is choppy, but still we are building the higher highs. So I would always go with the idea this looks like a correction. You can call it the flag if you want. It's still the correction.
Right.
And while we remain above that 82.94 lows, we should see some bullish movements. And I would rather be bullish than bearish just because, like, if we be bearish, the only thing that we need to trade against would be 84.70 or 84.58. So we can't create good enough risk reward.
I see. So if it was bullish, how would you structure a trade? Would you, let's say you're coming in here, what would be your risk reward parameters on this particular trade? Like a one.
I would, first of all, what I like to do, like I would look at all this as a larger, just 1, 2, and 3, or you can call it in Elliott wave ABC or 1, 2, 3. It doesn't really matter. And I always go with that idea that every move have that 3-wave structure, and that we are going to see at least that equal X. So 85.49 would be my final target. Like even if we buy at the breakout of today's high,
right,
trade against here, so we get a good enough risk reward. So that's the way how I would play.
Now, this is interesting. So do you typically enter, like if this was a real trade, like, like this was, let's imagine this is, 3:00 in the morning, or, 3:00 in the morning to me, 7:00 in the morning, Europe, before the UK retail sales, there's some movement here. Do you enter on a limit? Like, in other words, you said, if it breaks, I want to enter if it takes out the highs, or
I would enter a lot, especially like the news are a little bit tricky, but that I prefer to get that part of a limit order, not a market order, just because of a bad execution. So definitely that's something I would try, always a limit order. If it doesn't go my way, or we see some change in a number that we didn't expect, I would always cancel a trade. That's fine, but I would always be prepared. At least try to have the orders ready a few minutes before.
Okay, but again, I'm trying to understand in this, like, let's just even forget the news. In this particular price structure, would you be buying the breakout, or buying the retrace? Like, is this would be a stop
I
entry
would
order?
rather, I would always go for a pullback buy, always. That's my
Pullback
main
buy.
idea. But if you
Okay.
notice, let's say in the last few months, we didn't get much deep pullback. So
Right.
it was hard to catch all that. Like I was trying to say, like, I want this, and market never retraced to that level, like 50%, like normal pullback. Everything was like
Right.
23.6, things like that.
Right.
So I would rather now play a little bit safer and go with that approach, like a little bit tighter, 38.2% pullback of the previous move. So
Uh-huh. So
for some
shallow. You
reason,
just basically trading shallower pullbacks.
yeah, shallow pullbacks
So,
will work just
yeah.
because I'm afraid a little bit to miss it when we
Okay.
are talking about the news.
Right. Well, for the purposes of the show, we're going to put you into, make sure you're going to place the market right now. We're going to put you into the market right now. It's very quiet. Obviously, we don't really anticipate anything.
Yeah, of
But
course.
generally, on the analysis of this, it doesn't really matter whether, you're buying it here or you're buying a few pips below, because the idea here is you're basically holding it. Your risk is below that first low or below the swing low. What would be your risk?
Below the swing low, so
Swing low.
72,
Right.
82.94.
82.94. Okay. All right. Okay, that's interesting. Now, your turn. Pick an instrument for Petar to trade. Let's see what we can do here.
Let's go like this. Let's go pound Swiss franc. And let's see, like, if you want to hedge it or
that
not.
is what's known in English as 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, as we say in English.
Yeah.
It's literally the exact same trade, but the other way around. Okay, so let's do it. Let's have fun. Let's see what Petar wants to do on pound Swiss.
Yeah. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, now we start seeing. I actually, by the way, I love to trade. Like if I like to trade pound Swiss when I like to trade euro pound because it moves a lot. It's just a bigger volatility trade. It's much more fun.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't trade.
Move.
Yeah.
Didn't trade the Swiss franc for a for many years, but this will be fun. Okay, let me see first. I like to do the top down approach. I call it top down approach. So we go from higher time frames to get a context, and then lower down. So let's just go to the daily, weekly. Just check overall, what we got, because in trading is very important that you see.
Sorry. If I can just stop you, you have a whole bunch of rate of change indicators on the bottom, and oscillators, and the ATR. The ATR is pretty self-explanatory, but all of these rate of change, are they just to give you color? Is how do you use them in any way?
A rate of change is basically the rate of change 2 is basically based on the Taylor rhythm. Having the 2 updays, expecting 2 to 3 day cycle. So with rate of change 2, you capture these flicks from down to up.
Sorry, I'm not familiar with that. Could you explain that? That sounds very interesting. So what is this? What is this sort of a observation that things go in 2 or 3 day cycles typically on?
Yeah. Basically, that is the something that Taylor, Douglas Taylor, many years ago, wrote about. It traded basically based on the rhythm, and basically, if you check every week, you will find very hard 5 consecutive days in a row in a one direction. Very rarely. I mean, you can find, but in a single week, usually, you have a rhythm, cycles, and cycles exist in all time horizons. But technically, during the week, you have 2 to 3 day cycle, and then usually you have a counter move day or two. So let me give you just example. Here you have a 2 down days here and 2 down readings here, rate of change, and there is a flip up here. The same thing, 2 down days, flip here. This was tried to flip but finish it low. Anyway, that's a model, one of the models. I mean,
so it's interesting. Like I'm just the histogram on the bottom. Is that sort of like it's measuring intensity because it's it's obviously different. It looks different. Like it's kind of a bar graph.
Yeah, this is from Linda Rushke, my good friend. So this is a 310 oscillator that she's using. I'm using also for many years. It's just a difference between 3 and 10 moving average placed in a histogram, and you have a slow line 16.
I see.
It's I mean, it doesn't really even matter. People can use whatever kind of momentum. Stochastic will also do the job. MACD, depend of the parameters, but they can define. I mean, traders can define their own time horizons, and basically it will do the work still. There is no magical indicator or something like that.
No, there isn't. No, I mean, I use RSI for momentum, and it's perfect.
Yeah, RSI is also absolutely fine. And basically, now British pound, Swiss franc. As you see here, we also had 2 up days, 1 down day, 2 up days, trend days, 1 down day. That's basically rhythm. And as we see, basically today, did we start the day already? I don't know on this trading view.
Yeah, I think what time is it? Yeah, it's basically started. The new day starts at 1700 hours in New York. We have a new day. We have a new candle.
Yeah, so there is a flip there. We also had in the background, we held this 1.2 for 20. So we got kind of resistance there, but that's on the daily. Weekly time frame, kind of flat. It is basically a flat week so far. Barely made above the previous week. And let's just check monthly. I really like to watch to see the different perspective. Monthly got a lower low, lower high, but it tested low. So this is kind of tricky. So we have a multiply, different from different perspective, different styles. But let's see how the situation is on the low. We got on the lower frames. On lower frames, I can expect the price to retest this low at least.
Okay. What time frame is this? This is daily? We're still on daily.
This is 4 hour. This is 4 hour.
It's 4 hours.
Frame.
Right. 4 hour. Yeah.
Yeah. This is the 8 hour. You can 12 hour. Doesn't really. So we might have this test to the low. We basically got daily time frame shifted to the down cycle. We got to lower low, lower high. So let's, I think we can go down to at least retest this 1.2213. And the next pivot will be probably around this area at 1.2165.
So if you were told to make a trade in this instrument, what would be your trading plan for this? Like, obviously we're going to go market, whichever direction you choose. But if you were in ideal conditions, what would be your trading plan in ideal conditions?
Based on this condition, this is, it's a tricky one, but I will say more bearish based on what I saw.
Okay.
Yeah, more bearish.
Because you think it's gonna pull down to the lows.
Yeah, I think that we are. And also monthly is trading lower. We got a lower low, lower high, but we rejected from the low there. And weekly, basically, we got failed to go through the previous week high. So, we might see some downside shift here again. That's basically based on this current condition. I give a little more odds to the downside based on this one.
Okay, so we're going to put you market into. So, by the way, if you're short here, what is a reasonable risk on the chart? Like, where would you put a stop here to convince you you're wrong? Is it a double top over there, the 24?
Yeah, definitely at that double. Yeah, that just you can put. For example, I also like to use ADR, daily ADR, not weekly, daily. So it's daily ADR is about 88 pips if I see correct here.
Right.
80 pips, 80. Yeah, it's actually even lower. This is way too much. 150. This is 2 ADRs almost.
It's basically 2 ADRs. Now, so it's interesting. When you have you have a general rule of thumb of using 1 ADR. ADR is about 80 pips. Yeah. But when you're looking at the charts, technically the technical stop is 2 ADRs. In that situation, what wins, your normal formula or the technical composition of the chart? Like if you had to really structure a trade, how would you do it?
It really depends on how excited I am about that trade. Usually, 2 ADR is way too much for me because my average holding time is around 2 days. I
What
don't like 2 ADRs.
is it? But would you ever consider the idea of like, look, this is, structurally, this is where I should be because I don't want to get unnecessarily stopped out. Would you just cut size, or sort of your approach is, look, I really, I want to trade where I'm in the money right away. I don't want, 2 ADR means I'm, this trade is going to trade so far against me that maybe it goes, maybe it doesn't. It just puts me into a
Yeah, exactly. 2 ADR is
it sounds like you want a very efficient entry. You want the entry to work right away, or you're just going to get out.
Yeah, and it's not even to work right away. For example, it happened many times that, let's just example use 1 ADR and market go 40 pips against me. Let's say ADR is 88, so market go half of ADR against me. But if I really don't see the reason and I don't see the big, or if I see it's still very hard going to, it's going more corrective against me, or with not so much power, I can still give a chance for the market to back to the original idea. I will not give up just from idea just because I see I have
it retracing against you.
Yeah, so it's a very discretionary stuff. Sometimes I really, can scratch position in a matter of hour or two. Sometimes I can let position even if I'm 40 and I'm still, it's just what I'm seeing, what the market is telling me, and I just try to adapt.
Now, I noticed that you're sort of, like you said, it's a two-day holding period. So what is the smallest time frame that you look at? Is it a 4 hour? Where
Smallest time frame will probably be a 30 minutes for me. I can also take a look at 5 minutes if just to see some, maybe to smooth your execution. It's totally fine, but it's nothing. My main idea will come from the larger degrees: daily, 4 hour, 2 hour, and also watching the context of the weekly and monthly, just to get a whole picture and to be as objective as I can.
Understood. Okay, gentlemen, so please enter your trade: short pound Swiss and long euro pound into your platforms, so that we can mark them and run them. We're actually kind of moving along, so I want to move to our challenge 2, which is the hindsight trade. So this is sort of an interesting challenge. With your current knowledge, what would you have done better in your previous trade? So I'll give you guys a minute to think about it. Nicola, maybe you can start us off. Let's think about, like, maybe in the last couple of weeks, or maybe even this year, was there a trade you did that you wish you'd done better? And maybe you could run us through what you did and how you would have done it better on the chart.
Just a second to pull up the
Sure.
charts.
Take your time.
I have it today, to be honest.
You had it today. You had a trade today with you regret it?
I had a trade today, dollar yen.
Okay. Oh,
like
man,
started
what a move.
yesterday.
What a move that was. That has just been a one-way trade, man.
My idea, exactly. Like, it was crazy. Like, when I look the daily time frame, the idea is that we seen the test of that equalize between the A and C, and I usually don't trade, but when you go down to and start checking, you didn't have completed that smaller 5-wave move structure.
Mm-hmm.
And right after that, I was thinking, like, I missed this because I had some coaching to do, but I wanted to get in really bad. Entire week I was.
Oh, did we lose Nicola?
Trying like I wanted in the middle.
Sorry, Nicola. Sorry, we just lost your transmission for just 1 second. Could you repeat what you were saying? So you said you wanted to get into the trade. You were with a student, and then we just lost you. Could you repeat from there?
Yeah, I was with the student, and I missed the initial reaction setup, and that's why I played it a little bit worse than I expected, because I usually like to trade like it's a correction. We know that the correction usually ends between equal X and 127.2, and here market really dropped down. started. Let me zoom in to be easier for everybody to see. And over here, I wanted to get into long position just because we had enough legs to call the C leg completed. Everything was there. So I was thinking, let's try a long. It's a risky trade, but if I trade against 120.59, it's what, 20 pips risk. And I was targeting 122. So I didn't get it there, but I managed to get it at a breakout.
Oh, the 21.
Because the next logical point of that smaller flag, of that ABC. So this breakout over here, I managed to get it there. So it's not a big waste or something crazy that I would change. I still got 1 to 2 risk reward.
Right.
But I always love that small. I would rather always try to catch the trend early. If I'm wrong, I will try again. It doesn't matter. But I want to get that good enough risk reward. Because I'm similar to you, I like a smaller time frames for the entry, like even 2 minutes. I prefer 2 minutes for example, any indices to trade. I found it hard in the FX market. It's not 100% reliable.
Yeah, no, I don't think you could use anything smaller than 15 minutes.
Exactly. Just because of a spread in currency market, like it's not going
the
to
volatility.
work.
It's look, dollar yen has been a monster mover, right? I mean, just like I was going to say, I'm so old that I remember the last time it was 124. That's how old I am. But but really, when you think about it, it's like 100 points a day, right? And that's like, oh, it's the first time in a decade we're moving, at these kind of ranges in FX. Whereas when you look at indices, 100 points is basically lunch or breakfast, for
exactly.
It's a completely different instrument. It's a completely different reality. So, for FX, you have to look at 15-minute charts as just the smallest increment of time, I think, for timing of trades. Whereas, for indices, it's different. So this is like, you were like, it was still a good trade. You just simply didn't have a chance to get
more
the perfect
because
entry.
Like I said, Boris, like if you look the movement, we didn't got any deep pullback. All the pullbacks were shallow, really shallow.
So that is, by the way, the classic definition of runaway trend. This is the thing that people don't understand. When you're looking at the signature of dollar yen, this is, and you can look at NASDAQ, you can look at any signature of any strong performing stock. You look at Bitcoin, you look at anything, any kind of a trend-based thing. You don't get, this is what people don't understand. Markets don't give you an opportunity to buy retraces. They don't say, oh, here's free money on the street. They force you to do stuff that is against your initial impulse if you want to capture the move. And this is where it really becomes a matter of art, and it probably Petar can talk to that about how when you come to the discretionary ideas, even though we all know, we've seen the charts, you're going to react very differently depending on how strong you feel, how confident you feel about a certain move, right? Right, Petar?
Yeah. I think basically that if you don't size your opportunity, if you don't have a good size and there is a good opportunity and good condition, which will probably, we will not repeat that every day, every month. Maybe you can see, USDN. I also had the USDN. I captured 3 times that US Japanese yen on the way up, on the shallow pullbacks around the 2-3 day moving average,
Right.
But the thing is, if you don't use that condition and don't make impact, don't have a good size, for me personally, that's a waste of opportunity.
Understood.
If I'm able to press this,
Now, I was going to say, if you want to walk us through, perhaps through a trade that you did this week or maybe this year that you wish you had done better. Maybe it was a matter of sizing. Maybe it was a matter of entry. It'd be interesting to see, because I'd love to see what
okay, I can show you one trade which didn't work well, and I was thinking it will work well. I can tell you where my mistake is. I think that's a very, because people usually speak about it's easy when something is good,
Yes.
I want to, also let's go to my bad trade this week first, and then I will go to good trade.
Okay.
So,
sounds good.
Yeah, my biggest mistake this, for example, week was that I was trying to do anything with the euro. The reason why I'm saying anything, it doesn't matter if I was trying to buy, I think, a few days ago, somewhere here around 28.30,
25.
and I got stopped out. Yeah, I got stopped out, I think, the next day.
Okay.
So the reason why I say this was my mistake is, I think it's very informative, because on the other side, if you watch different markets, you got much better conditions, much, let's say, productive than being stuck in something which is inactive. And this is one of the things which can have a big difference. Of course, you cannot be 100% to avoid stuff, so you will have something like this. But the key thing is to be on the stuff which is moving, something that you can clearly see the image.
Yes.
What?
This is such an important point. It cannot be emphasized. We were trading crypto all of the end of last year, beginning of this year, and I guess maybe January, when crypto started to die out, I started trading it less, and now we don't trade it at all. Like, basically, because I know Bitcoin moves 3% a day, but like 3% a day, and it's like it needs to move 10% a day to really, because of the spreads and and the moves we all know. Crypto really needs to move 10% a day to make it interesting as an trading instrument. So we literally, it's a very good point. We do not we just stop trading it. It's just a waste of capital, waste of physical energy,
and basically time.
Basically,
time aspect.
Yes.
Your efficiency.
Yes.
So you lose efficiency like a trader.
Right. Trading ultimately is about finding the volatile asset, and then grasping that risk and running with that risk, whichever.
Yeah, and also another important point I want to make here. So yeah, that was my mistake. So I was trying to do something with the inactive market overall, flat market, which is moving very flattish overall. While from the other side, you had, for example, USDN, you have crude oil, natural gas, which I also did. But in the first place, I shouldn't do anything with the euro, especially not in the swing environment, which I'm more like a swing short-term trader. Right. And and also another thing I want to make another point is, for me, the most important things, speaking technically, is to recognize what is a condition. So do we have a ranging, or we have imbalance or trend regime, and then to apply a proper technique to try to provide a good setups of that regime. Because if you try to apply, let's say, for example, everyone probably will know from your audience, bull or bear flags, right? It's a very common.
Sure.
Bull and bear flags in the ranging environment, they're totally useless from my perspective. You can have many false potential opportunities, but bull traps on something like US Japanese yen, for example, bull flags, you can find, look at the, around the Keltner channel, you got so many chances, like 4 clear chances here. I entered on few, okay? And you see how this is clean and how the flags are beautiful working in this regime, because the USDN is an imbalance, and it's bigger money is involved, and it's breaking like multi-month. We broke 2 weeks ago multi-month consolidation and stuff like that.
Right.
So while in the ranging market, reversion to the mean, divergences towards the mean stuffs will work, we will have more odds to make success.
Right.
Basically, that's very important.
Right. Super interesting. So that actually brings me to a question I want to ask Nicola. So the market, you trade DAX, which is I love, if you can pull up the chart of DAX. I love talking to you a little bit about this. Because this is a market that effectively, for all purposes, has kind of been range bound for quite a long time, and I think starting to show some evidence of, good evidence actually, of
good evidence.
Yeah, good evidence. This is a very long term chart of the DAX. But basically, we were just kind of range bound for quite a while. If you look at that flatness, if you compare that against Nasdaq or anything else, it really was doing nothing.
Yeah.
But now, what do you think? What do you think about the DAX technically? And where might that lead us? I'm kind of curious about your analysis of it. This is a monthly chart you're looking at here.
Yeah, like definitely. I don't have a chart of a DEX short term on this PC.
That's okay. All right.
So I pulled this to make it in a second. Like, I'm afraid about the DAX in terms of a technical picture, because the technical picture is more bearish than bullish.
Okay.
Just because we are starting to see a strong drop. Of course, we all expected to see a drop, but they
Right.
didn't expect it to see it that fast. It was a little bit
Right.
of shock, especially if we go on the smaller time frame. Like, if we take a look, like, okay, everyone expected to see a drop. It was a simple double top. We had enough
Right.
legs to call the cycle complete, and then you expect just to see small 1, 2, 3, and then price to
Right.
move up. And then all the things with the Ukraine and Russia happened, and then market started to collapse. I didn't blame like war. I more blame the idea that we didn't hear that first week anything really good coming from the ECB, and I was waiting. Like, I was afraid to trade the DAX, and I trade DAX for the last 8 years every single morning, and I was afraid a little bit.
Looking at this chart now, this is a daily chart, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is a V-shaped recovery. This is a very, very powerful
Right
map.
now it's perfect, but like last week, like month ago, it wasn't that perfect. Like, you can think that, like, you see, the alternate count is that we completed entire 5 move and that we are just going to see a strong drop down. So technically speaking, I would move with that larger alternate count in case the war continue for a next year or two, for sure, and that we can expect to see a strong decline. But still, at the end of the day, buying pullback is something I want to do, especially if we take a look at the smaller 4 hours time frame, that we can see some sort of a 5-way move shape. So it's a clear sign that market should continue to move higher. At least we can expect to see a 3-way move, at least. So I don't care what's going to be, let's say, in the next year, but the short term, I really believe that buying is the great thing, especially since I'm trying to buy more or less every single day for an entire week, and I will continue to buy any pullback against the level over here.
Could you maybe walk us through your daily buying routine? Like, what chart do you look at? How would you, like, maybe even today? Did you do any? If you did any trades today, maybe you could just recount to us.
To me, it doesn't matter. Like, to me, like, I will follow. Like, I like Elliott Wave, and that's all great.
Right.
But at the end of the day, Elliott Wave can help you on a smaller time frames, especially since we all know that DAX is going to be active for the first 1 to 2 hour stop of the UK session, and that's all. If you miss that, it's going to be boring. And if you want to trade, you will probably go back to the Dow Jones, since Dow Jones will do exactly the same thing as DAX did in the UK session. So I just define a trend with Elliott Wave on a, let's say, 1 hour time frame, and then go on the 2-minute time frame and try to find some sort of a confirmation, like patterns. I love patterns because Elliott Wave is nothing more than a pattern game. And the 2 patterns that I love the most would be, let's say, a flag and a triangle, just because they are the only 2 patterns, not only 2, but the 2 in some of our testing, the highest probability chance that they are trend continuation patterns, not reversals.
Okay.
So
would it be possible for you to mark a flag on this chart or a triangle that gives you the kind of pattern you look for?
Like a simple, like, for me, a flag is a 3-way move, what in Elliott Wave they would call a simple zigzag. To me, that's a flag. And that's why I love trading the flags, not a simple flag in terms of what technical study tell you.
Right.
Like, it's just a three-way move for me. And for me, what's important is that the third leg don't exceed 1618.
Got it. So
Initial idea for selling would always be to try to sell the equal legs and trade against the 1618.
Interesting.
And
then
to
you know,
trade just to get it early on. If I miss that, or let's say in this case, market never reached that equal X, but market start to move down, then we have that smaller flag that I'll take, that breakout I'll take, just because I didn't have time to sell it here.
So
I'll
if you
try
take it there, if you take it there, what would be your stop? Let's suppose you took it there. What would be your stop?
Just to remove this, just over here. I'm a day trader. I'm only trying to
so it would be a
like
super tight stop.
20, 30 points. That's all.
You're not even going to go up to the higher end of it.
No, I don't care. My daily goal for a DAX is to make between 80 to 100 points. I don't care about more.
Got it. So you just enter that.
If it's going to take one trade or 10, it doesn't matter as soon as I reach it. But usually my stops are really small, like 5 to 10 points. That's all.
Really? I mean, like 5 points.
That's why I'm using the 2-minute and 1-minute time frame charts.
But you barely beat the spread at 5 points. I can't imagine trading DAX for less than a 15-point stop, just because this.
It's slightly different, in my opinion, when you trade over the futures and CFDs. If you ask me,
because you're laying out. You can lay out limit orders and you can get taken on the limit. Yes, I agree. I understand. Okay, I didn't understand that you were trading futures. Okay, makes sense. All right, well, this is super interesting. Let's get up to our third challenge here today, guys. This is sort of more of a short-term trend that I trade vision. And Petar, the question to you for challenge number 3 is: what's your best short-term trade for the next 5 days? What would you like to you're the guy that says, I want to trade something where I want to do size. Give me the trade where you would add size big now for the next 5 days, where you have a lot of confidence in the move.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't think that there is now some opportunity like that, like right now. Yeah. But in terms of the odds, I will still be bullish on the USD Japanese yen. I really don't see the reason why USD Japanese yen cannot go to some weekly highs. Let me just show you. Or even, let's go weekly. I don't see the reason why we cannot reach 123.55 area, which is the next reference points on the weekly, basically highs from November 2015.
Right.
And then we got a series of the highs around August, July 2015. We already basically broke February 2016 highs, where we got bigger sell-off on the USD yen. So I don't see the reason why week looks like a very strong. The close will probably be, we still have 1 day left, but according to the current weekly, it seems like we will have probably another strong close, third close in a row.
Yeah.
And we are still in the extended run.
One of the hardest things to do for new traders is to buy fresh highs like this, because when they see the kind of parabolic move, the instinct is to always be on the opposite side. And the irony of the whole thing is, of course, it's because that instinct is where the majority of the market is at, that it goes even higher, because you're short here and they're just going to squeeze you even more, and it's just going to create a
but my point is, this is not ideal. Definitely, I will not. But if I need to choose, and I need to choose for this challenge, what is where I see most odds to happen into next week? I think we have odds to test this 123.50. Is this a best entry? No, it's just the new high, but it doesn't mean it's also I will like, I did entries around this area and this area. So when we pull back and do some consolidation, so this is not ideal in that sense, but in sense of the odds for the next week, I think that we can reach the next potential pivot at 123.50. That's something that, which is around 120 pips. So
Yeah.
the thing here is, to play just for odds, because I don't see right now anything that spectacular. Most of the things already played out, and they're sitting on some kind of extreme.
Right.
Another option was a gold on upside, but I don't like it. I just don't like gold. I don't feel this market in
It's
last days.
nobody hates gold. Nobody hates gold more than I, although I started trading it. But I got to tell you, today was an interesting day. Today was a
Yeah.
big day. I mean, gold just was bid. It was bid.
Yeah.
Something is, I feel like churning. I feel like churning. It's interesting. So, Nicola, what about you? The next 5 days, what's the best trade? And by the way, so please put the dollar yen trade in. We obviously
Yeah, I will
know.
put the big position. Yeah, just want to say to audience, I will put a bigger
That's it.
position.
Put the big position, and if you're right, you win your charity.
Yeah,
Let's see.
basically,
Let's
I'm
see
doing like that. Yeah.
what Nicola wants to do.
No, I'm not sure, to be honest. Like, a lot of thing, like Petar said, is too extended. Of course, we can always go for something like the pair that I watch closest right now, and what's I'm interested in would be the US dollar. Like, it's arranging, that's fine, but it's building a nice triangle structure, and any pullback should be a good buying opportunity for towards the new highs.
By the way,
So
can you do me a
definitely,
favor? Can you do me a favor? Can you just pull up dollar Swiss? Because
it's same thing.
it's the same
It's
thing.
not 100% the same thing,
Not 100%
but
same. It's like it's a poor man's dollar index. Like it's it's sort of like for those that don't necessarily have access to the dollar index, dollar Swiss is very often a pretty decent substitute for
yeah,
what's going on.
to me it's the same thing. Like, looking for a deeper pullback. Like, to be honest, I was waiting for a dollar Swiss franc long entire week, and I got bored. I canceled the trade today. I was waiting for a nice 3-week move to happen. We are still in that third leg, so I'm a little bit bored, and I don't like waiting because I'm a day trader.
Right.
But I'm thinking like buying any dip against the low at 91.49 is something that
All
can
right.
work
So we're
out.
gonna put you in at market. You forget there's no waiting here. We're gonna put you at inferior prices because you don't get your perfect trade. But like, it's an interesting trade. I think it's kind of interesting to see. I do think there is clear potential here for dollar Swiss to go higher. So that's an interesting view. We're coming up to the end of our time, so I want to wrap up with both of you guys. Petar, maybe you could tell us a little bit about what you do, and also what charity you are trading for, so that we can we can all root for you and root for your charity. Go ahead.
Oh, you mean what I trade overall in my?
Just, just what you trade. If you have any, if you have a chat, a room that you trade in, anything about yourself. Any website that people can find you on.
Yeah. So basically, yeah, I'm educator, and I have my own, and basically we're only friends. We have own Skype room, but it's a private. I have for the market profile, since I love market profile. I didn't show here. We didn't have time.
Yeah, we have to talk about that.
Yeah, I will just, so Prosperium FX is my website only for profile education. Market profile is a unique way to receive information from the market and then try to interpret. Then I'm basically educator, regular educator. I am Academy, the biggest educational company based in US. So people also can visit that, and we have lots of educators. And for the charity, I decided to pick the Institute for Mother and Child in Belgrade. They are basically the biggest clinic. I always like to give charity to the youngest, right? And in hospitals, and which are helping the kids, So I think that's that's basically my choice.
Great. Sounds like a great charity. And obviously, we're going to follow your trades. Everybody who's watching me, we know we're going to update all the trades during the midweek and let you know who the how the traders go out. Now, Nicola, what about you? What do you do? Tell us a little bit about if you have a website, do you have an address, with Twitter?
Yeah, like right now, like I'm working for a hedge fund. I also starting a new hedge fund for myself called Nearly Capital. We are like in the final stage, like we already got 100 million in, so we are starting with that part in 2 months. Built a good team behind me, like we have 6 traders from all around Europe that are going to trade with me. So that's something that I do right now.
And
But I
will
also
you be
have
trading? Will you be trading? Sorry to interrupt you. Will you be trading futures, forex? What
we
kind of
are
instrument?
mostly going to trade futures and FX because I love FX. I started with the Forex.
Yeah.
I like crypto, trade crypto, that's all good, but it's seasonal. It's for me like a penny stock. I will trade it during summer. Like every time when FX is down, I move to US stock market, trade penny stocks. Like you said, is volatility that we are after.
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
People
Exactly.
can find me. I have a small website just for me, personal blog,
Mhm.
nicoladelic.com. Everything is free. So we don't
What do
have
you
any
do on that
service.
blog? Do you talk markets? Do you put up charts? What do you usually do on
Talk
that?
about the markets. Want to try to build education, free education, since I'm thinking
Mhm.
like I made money from trading. I really don't want to charge people
Mhm.
to teach them, but I don't want to waste my time to teach everyone that don't want to trade. So I want to do it free for everyone. I'm trying to teach Elliott Wave mostly, but I can teach anything since I spent last 8 years in the hedge funds and
Yeah.
banks.
Right. Right. That's great. That's great. And the charity that you trade for?
The charity that I picked is called Alexander Shapic. It's one of the charities here in Serbia
Right.
that help people that can't pay a medical bill.
Hmm.
They are waiting
Hmm.
for some sort of operation and they are helping them. I worked with them in the past. My fund worked with them for a long time, so I trust them. That's why I will always pick them.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, it's great. It's great to see that you guys are going to be working for great charities. We're going to see how these trades go. So we have a long dollar Swiss. Well, actually, the last trades that we picked. So this is dollar yen
Dollar
and
Swiss franc.
dollar Swiss. He's going to put that trade in, and we're
Yeah.
gonna and Nicola, I think, sized up his trade significantly here because I see the pip differential. So you should do the same. Just back up the truck, as we say in New York City. Back up the truck. And we'll see how those trades go out. It should be interesting. Definitely going to be a very, very interesting week going forward in the markets. I think I speak for everybody that we all hope that the geopolitical situation is resolved when we next meet. But other than that, I really, really enjoyed having you guys both here. Even though the markets were very quiet, the conversation was actually very, very interesting. I wish everybody best of luck in the markets, and everybody watching us, be sure to subscribe to the Trading Battle. Be sure to follow both of the guys. And I'm going to see you guys next week in the Trading Battle. This is Boris Schlossberg for the Trading Battle. Over and out.